Okay, scholars, so today we're going to start lesson 2. The objective for lesson 2 is to relate skip counting by fives on the clock and telling time to a continuous measurement model, the number line. So we're going to compare a number line and a clock, okay? You guys will see how they are related. You will need your book, the Eureka Learn book. It's blue, okay? Right here on the side, it's blue. You will need a whiteboard, so you'll need the clear whiteboard, dry erase protective sheet. You will need a marker, okay, because you will follow along with Miss Lambert with a marker, okay? And you'll need your templates on page 147 and 149. I'll show you what those look like. And don't throw them away after this class because we probably will need them again tomorrow. So here's 147. This is a tape diagram, right? We'll need that one. And then page 149 has our clock, okay? Those are the two templates you'll need. You will tear them out of your book. You'll put them back to back. Like you'll put blank sides to blank sides. And then you'll slide them into your protective sheet, okay? So that you can write on both sides if you need to, okay? Any questions? Okay. This is going to be a fun day, fun lesson. All right, Christine has 12 math problems for her homework. It takes her 5 minutes to complete each problem. How many minutes does it take Christine to finish all 12 problems? Okay. Christine has 12 math problems for homework. It takes her 5 minutes to complete each problem. How many minutes does it take Christine to finish all 12 problems? All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find what our knowns and unknowns are, right? So, step 1, let's find out what our knowns are. What is one of our knowns in this problem? What is one of our knowns in our problem here? Let's see if I can find a risk taker. Carrington, what is one of our knowns here?
That Christine has 12 problems for homework.
That's right. She has 12 math problems for homework. What is another known that we have, Miss Camilla? What is another known that we have, Camilla?
It takes her 5 minutes to complete.
That's right. It takes her 5 minutes to complete each problem.
5 minutes to complete each problem.
All right, so that's 1, 2 knowns that we have. What is the question asking us to do? What is the question asking us to do, Peyton? That's right. How many minutes does it take Christine to finish all 12 problems? So in the end, we're going to have a total number of minutes to share, right? All right, so we have our tape diagram here. I've already got our tape diagram drawn here. How many spaces am I going to split this tape diagram up into? How many spaces am I going to split this tape diagram up into? Amaya? I think I heard you say 12. So we're going to split them up into 12 problems because we have 12 problems, 12 spaces, right? So I'm going to split it in half. Then I'm going to split each of my halves into thirds, okay? Yeah, I don't like that one. All right, And then I'm going to split these six. Now we have 6 pieces, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 means we got to cut them up one more time, half them, or split them into 2s each. So because 6 times 2 is 12, right? So I'm going to split them up, right? Divide them into 2 more pieces each. And that gives me, let's count them. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I have 12 pieces in my tape diagram, okay? I'm going to label this right here with 12 problems, all right? And question mark minutes, just like we do with the tape diagram, right? And this one right here is 1 prob. How long does it take her to complete 1 problem? How long does it take her to complete 1 problem? 5 minutes. That's right, Kayvon. 5 minutes. So what am I going to put inside each of these spaces here? What am I going to put inside each of these spaces? A 5. That's right, Carrington and Camilla. We're going to put a 5. So I'm going to write 5, and I'm going to skip count while I'm labeling them, right? I'm going to say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So how many minutes does it take her to finish all 12 of her problems? How many minutes does it take her to finish all 12 of her problems? Peyton, go ahead.
60 minutes.
60 minutes. See, she even put her minutes on the end.
Hour, but 60
60 minutes. So I was expecting someone to just say 60. I'll say 60 what? 60 years? No, it's 60 minutes. That's right. Good job. 60 minutes. So our final answer is it takes Christine 60 minutes to finish. Oh my goodness, I can't spell today. Her homework. Okay. Takes Christine 60 minutes to finish her homework, right? So I'm going to go ahead and label this guy right here 60 minutes, okay? Okay, we're going to move on to the next one, to the next part. So this looks a lot like the tape diagram I just got through drawing, right? That looks a whole lot like the tape diagram I just got through drawing. All right, let's count how many spaces I've got here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it's got 12 spaces and it's got 12 fives. And we know that 12 fives is 60 because we just completed that one. We knew that's 60 minutes, right? So I know a different way we can model this problem. We can use a number line. So let's use our tape diagram here to help us draw a number line that represents a total of 60 minutes. So you guys have a tape diagram template there that you can use. You can split it up into 12 pieces, or you can just follow along with me. Split it up just like I have it here on the board. And then underneath that, we're gonna draw a number line. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw a number line now, right up underneath my tape diagram here, okay? And I'm gonna put a beginning and ending mark to represent 0 minutes and 60 minutes, okay? So I'm gonna line it up here with my tape diagram. so that they match. Okay. And we're going to make tick marks, or we're going to make little marks. That's what these are. These marks here at the beginning and end are called tick marks. So we're going to make tick marks on the number line where the units are divided on the tape diagram. So I'm going to make some on every part of the division on my tape diagram. So I'm going to do that here, 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 right? I'm going to do it just like that. So now I've got my tape diagram with all of my tick marks, right? What do you notice about the relationship between the tape diagram and our number line? What do you notice about the relationship between our tape diagram and our number line? You can type an answer if you'd like. If you don't want to answer out loud, you can type an answer. What do you notice about the relationship between our tape diagram, which is this guy here at the top, and our number line, which is this guy here at the bottom? What do you notice? Is Peyton going to be the only one alive this morning? All right, I've got some more hands. I'm going to call on every single one of you if I don't get the answer I want. So we will start with Peyton, and then we will move on to Carrington. Okay. Carrington, what do you notice?
Down. That. I noticed that there are I noticed that the tape diagram is not the same of the line.
Okay. They have the same number of lines, that's right. So the lines are in the same place. They have the same number of parts. I think both Peyton and Carrington basically said the same thing. Okay. Okay. So what parts of the tape diagram do the spaces between the tick marks represent? So I'm gonna use a vocabulary word that we're gonna start using. It's called the interval. So if I were to talk about the interval between this space and this space right here, those two spaces, what does this space right here represent? Okay. Whoops. So we're talking about the space between here and here. What does that space represent? The space between two tick marks. What does that represent? Serenity, what do you think it represents? from here to here. Peyton, want to help her out? I'm sorry, Peyton, what did you say? I think I heard you say it's 5 minutes. Yes, that would be correct. Okay, so we learned from Friday that that time doesn't stop. It was happening long before this class started, and it'll keep going long after our class ends, right? So to show that time is continuous, we extend the ends of our number lines with arrows, just like we have here, right? Our number lines always have an arrow in the end because it shows that time is continuous, right? So now let's label our number line. I'm going to go ahead and label my number line right here. We're going to label it right here with 0, okay? And then I'm going to label this end right here with 60 because I know that my number line is 60 minutes long. Okay. You guys can label yours the same. You're going to label the one end 0 and the other end 60. And then we're going to label each of the tick marks in between our 0 and 60. We're going to skip count by 5. So from here to here, it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and 55. And then that lines up with 60. Okay. The space between two tick marks right here. This is space between two tick marks is a 5-minute interval. An interval is the space between 2 points, okay? I want you guys to remember that. And we'll go over the vocabulary tomorrow, like the specific vocabulary. But an interval is the space between 2 points, okay? So the interval, so this interval between 0 and 5, this interval is 5 minutes long, okay? That space from here to here is 5 minutes. So how many minutes, Kayvon, do you think are between 0 and 20? How many minutes do you think are between 0 and 20 on our number line? So I'm going to draw that again with a little bit thicker line. So how many minutes do you think are between 0 and 20? You can type it in the chat, Mr. Kayvon. How many minutes are between 0 and 20? Am I on mute? No, I'm not on mute. You guys should hear me. right, I'm going to ask one more time. Kayvon, how many minutes are there between 0 and 20 on our number line? I'm not hearing you. If you talked, I didn't hear you. Jorley, how many minutes are between 0 and 20 on our number line? 20 minutes. That's right. So what if I said, how many minutes are between 10 and 35? How many minutes are between 10 and 35? Ooh. So we know that the space between these two intervals right here, between 10 and 15, is 5, right? So we can skip count by 5s. We got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So the interval between 10 and 35 is 25 minutes, okay? The time between 0 and 45 is 45 minutes, right? But what about the time between 15 and 40? Well, let's skip count it, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So that's also 25 minutes, right? Ah! Okay. So let's use our number line here. Shh. So let's use our number line here to find out how many minutes it takes Christine to do 4 math problems, right? So let's use our number line here to find out how many minutes it takes Christine to do 4 math problems. So so if we start here at 0 and we count 1 math problem, 2 math problems, 3 math problems, 4 math problems, right? This is 4 math problems. How many minutes do you think it's going to take Christine to do these 4 math problems? Thank you, Jamarian. 20 minutes. Not just 20, but 20 minutes, okay? It will take her 20 minutes, okay? How long do you think it's going to take her to do 6 math problems? How long do you think it'll take her to do 6 math problems? So let's find out. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It takes her 30 minutes. That's right, Kayvon. All right, we're going to move on to the next part, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to use a number line to tell time to the nearest 5 minutes within 1 hour, okay? So I'm going to use this same number line here. Okay. We know that there are 60 minutes on this number line, right? 0 to 60. And there are 60 minutes between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, okay? So I am also going to label this one right here, 1 o'clock. And this part right here, 2 o'clock. Okay, the space between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock is 60 minutes or 1 hour, just like Peyton said earlier. Okay, the space between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock is 60 minutes. Okay, so here I have 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So we're going to do some activities based on a class schedule that's given to me. And the things that we're going to plot points for all the things that happen between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, okay? So this number line shows the hour between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m., okay? And let's say recess starts at 1:10, okay? What is the time, okay, I'm sorry, at 1:10 p.m.? I'm going to plot that point at 1:10 p.m. right here, okay? So this part, I'm going to label it R for recess. This point right here doesn't just stand for 10 minutes. This point right here stands for 1:10 p.m. now, okay? So I have drawn a dot on the spot where the tick mark and the number line cross and labeling it R for recess, okay? And that dot shows the location of a point, okay? Finding and drawing a point is called plotting. So I've plotted my point for recess on the number line, okay? At 1:35 is when science starts. So where do you think I'm going to plot 1:35? Kayvon, where do you think I'm going to plot 1:35? Christopher, do you want to help him out? Where am I going to plot 1:35 on my number line? I'm hearing some things. At the 35. There we go. Typed it in. It says at the 35. So I'm going to find the 35 on my number line. I see 35 right here. I'm going to plot it right there. This point right here represents 1:35 p.m. And I'm going to label that S for science, okay? I'm going to label that S for science. Okay? How are we going to find out the time between recess and science? So if I asked you, what amount of time? What amount of time has passed between point R and point S? We're going to skip count by what? What are we going to skip count by? We're going to skip count by fives. That's right, 5. So let's do that now. Let's skip count by fives to find out how much time has passed between point R for recess and S in science. So we're going to count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So there's 25 minutes for recess before science starts. Okay? Another way you can do this is we can take the times here, this time and this time. So we can take 1:35 and subtract 110. Okay? You can only do this if they are within the same hour. Okay? If it says 210, you cannot do it anymore. Okay? So we're going to subtract 135 and 110. These two cancel each other out, and we're going to subtract 35 and 10. 5 minus 0 is 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. And then look, we got 25 and 25. They both equal 25 minutes. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and move on to looking at a number line and a clock. Okay? So here's my fancy number line here, 0 minutes and 60 minutes. They all line up perfectly. All right. So how does the number line that we've labeled compare to the analog clock here on the screen? How do they compare? What if I told you that they basically represent the same thing? Remember how I said time is continuous? You guys remember how I said time is continuous? Remember that? Thumbs up if you remember that. Time is continuous, right? It doesn't ever stop. A circle is a never-ending loop, right? So we don't have to keep doing straight number lines forever and ever and ever. We can do it on a clock, right? Because a clock is circle, and so it's a number line that has been rolled up into a circle so that it can continue going on forever and ever. Okay? So I'm gonna label my clock so you guys can see. All right, so this is both 0 and 60. This 12 is both 0 and 60, right? And this is 5. This is 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and then 55, 60, okay? And the reason why I'm saying that 12 is both 0 and 60 is, have you ever heard someone say, oh, it's 260? Have you ever heard someone say, oh, it's 260? No, we haven't. But we've heard people say, oh, it's 3 o'clock. Because after 2:59, it doesn't go to 2:60, it goes to 3 o'clock, right? So the 12 is both 0 and 60, okay? All right. So now I'm going to show you some times here. I'm going to show you the recess time that we had, 110, on our number line here, okay? Our hour hand is going to point between, the hour hand is always going, if I say it's 110, it's going to point between the 1 and the 2 hour, okay? So it's 1, 10, okay? That clock shows 1:10. And we know that it shows recess. We showed at, I'm sorry, science starts at 1:35. So because a clock is circle, as it's getting closer to 2 o'clock, that hour hand is going to move closer to the 2, but not directly on the 2 until it's 2 o'clock. So 1:35 will look something like this. Okay, it'll point between the 1 and the 2, okay? Sorry, give me 1 second. So it's going to point between the 1 and the 2 right here, right? But it will still be 1 o'clock. All that time between those two spaces is still 1 o'clock, all right? So if I showed you that, that is still 1:35, okay? So this is right here 1:10, and this is 1:35, okay? So we're going to find out how much time has passed between 1:10, which is pointing right here, and 1:35, which is pointing right here, right? All right, so let's count it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. That's 25 minutes, right? That's still the same amount of time we came up with earlier, right? Yeah. That's still the same amount of time we came up with earlier. Okay. All right, so let's open our books to page 143. Let's open our books to page 143. I'm going to give you guys some time to work in groups to complete number 1, 2, and 3. Okay? I'm going to give you guys some time to work in groups to do number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay, so now we're going to do a debrief on the problem sets, and I see that a lot of you had some similar problems with them. That's because we weren't focusing attention during our lesson, okay? Okay. Okay, so number 1 says follow directions. Follow the directions to label the number line below. Letter A says Ingrid gets ready for school between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. Label the first and last tick mark as 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. All of these things right here, guys, all of these are tick marks. These are tick marks. All these marks you make are called tick marks, okay? So what they're asking for you to do is to label the first and last tick mark as 7 a.m. and 8 a.m. So I'm going to put 7 a.m. and 8 o'clock a.m. All right, did that one. B says each interval represents 5 minutes. Count by 5 starting at 0 or 7 a.m. and label each 5-minute interval below the number line up to 8 a.m. All right, so I'm going to put 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, just like we did with the other number line, right? 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Okay, so that's B. C. Ingrid starts getting dressed at 7:10 a.m. Plot a point on the number line to represent this time. Above the point, write D. So I'm going to put this point on the number line, right? So I'm going to plot, it says 7:10, so I'm going to find 7:10. So we have 7 o'clock, 7:05, 7:10. So I'm right here, 7:10. And it says to label this point D. So I'm going to label it D, because that's for getting dressed. All right, I did that. Ingrid starts eating breakfast at 7:35 a.m. Plot a point on the number line to represent this time, and above the point, write E. All right, so I'm going to find 7:35. So I have 7:05, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So I'm going to plot this point right here, and I'm going to label it E for eating, right? And that one's done. All right, letter E says Ingrid starts brushing her teeth at 7:40 a.m. Plot a point on the number line to represent this time. Above the point, write T. All right, so I'm going to plot my point for my teeth at 7:40. Whoops. 7:40. So I'm going to plot it right here. And I'm going to write it T above it right here. That's that one. F, Ingrid starts packing her lunch at 7:45. Right, so obviously I want us to plot that point on 7:45. And we're going to write a letter L. All right, Ingrid starts waiting for the bus at 7:55. Plot a point on the number line to represent this time, and above the point, write W. All right, so I'm going to find 7:55, which is right there, and I'm going to write a W. And that's it. That's all they wanted you to do. Was that hard? No, it was not. All right, so I'm going to clear that off, and we're going to move on to the next one. All right, number 2. Number 2. So the first thing you do when you see that number line, you guys should write your times on there, okay? So we got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then we got 60. All right, it says label every 5 minutes below the number line shown, which is what I did here. Draw a line from each clock to the point on the number line which shows its time. Not all the clocks have matching points. All right, so 8:35. Are we able to show 8:35 on this clock, on this time number line? Are we able to show 8:35 on this number line? No, because this time is between 5 and 6. There is no 8 on here, okay? The next one says 5:15. Can we show this time on the number line? Can we show this time on the number line? Yes, because we got it's between 5 and 6. So let's find our 5:15, right? I'm going to look for 5:15 right here. And I'm going to draw me a line from 5:15 over to that point I plotted, okay? Now I'm going to look for 5:40, okay? So I'm going to find 5:40 on this number line. Looks like it's right here because it's between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. And I'm going to draw me a line from this clock. Oh, wait. I'm losing my mind. Miss Lambert's losing her noggin. These are all separate clocks, aren't they? Uh-oh, Miss Lambert's going cuckoo in the cocoa. Yes, these are all separate clocks. So this one right here can't be shown because it's not on here, right? Because this is between 5 and 6. This time right here, the time on this clock right here is 5:50. So let's find 5:50 and draw a plot right here, okay? 5:15, go from here to right here. This clock right here shows 6:10. So that one can't be shown, right? This one shows 5:40. So we're gonna go pink. And this one right here shows 5:25. So we're gonna find 25, which is right here, and draw a line right there. Okay? Sorry, I confused you earlier, but this is the correct way to do it. Okay, I'm gonna clear it, and we're gonna move on to the next one. All right, Noah uses a number line to locate 5:45 p.m. Each interval is 5 minutes, and the number line shows the hour from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Label the number line below to show his work. So if you see a number line that looks like this, Jamarian, you see a number line that looks like this, we're going to label it by skip counting by 5. We got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and 55. Okay. And now they want you to locate 5:45 p.m. So I'm going to look over here and count all up to 45. It's right here. I'm going to label it N for Noah, right? And the number line shows the hour between 5 and 6. Label the number line that shows below to show his work. And that's all you needed to do. That's it. Okay. I want you guys to make sure that you follow those directions to a T, okay? Make sure you label that number line and all that, okay? And that's all I've got for you today.